Right. We all assume it's just we're going to have 6 more weeks, especially up north. It gets so cold.
I want some hope, though.
We still have snowstorms. We have snowstorms up here in March.
Right. And we're always surprised by it.
Let me get this straight, Brian. So I know you're busy on your radio show talking about all the news of the day, but now you're suggesting there is a groundhog conspiracy?
There's a shadow conspiracy out there, and it's lurking.
Shadow government groundhog.
Yeah, it's lurking here in February. And you know what? Geraldo Rivera is no stranger to conspiracy theories. Geraldo, do you believe that the groundhog is working with the solar system to extend winter?
Oh, boy.
All I know, Brian, is that since I moved to Ohio, I used to look out the window at Central Park in New York and say, oh, how charming, it's snowing. Here in Ohio, you look out the window, you say, oh, how charming, it's not snowing. So I am absolutely not surprised with the groundhog's verdict today.
That's right.
However depressing.
Geraldo, let's talk about politics. Let's talk about this FISA memo. And the president is given the green light to release this thing. It could be today. It could be Monday. Democrats continue to fight this. And the question this morning is, why are they so worried about transparency?
Ainsley, they should release the damn memo. Excuse my language. It's enough now. The American people deserve to know what is in it. If indeed, as it seems, this memo reveals the absolutely perverse fact that an unverified dossier funded by the political rivals to the Republicans and to the president was used as the basis for a sacred FISA warrant to surveil an American citizen, then what that is, not only for Carter Page, who ultimately got squeezed so hard he pled guilty, but this is the fruit of the poison tree. Anything that goes from that basically illegally obtained warrant forward can be attacked legally and constitutionally. This is a very, very serious thing.
Right.
This could be the death knell for the Russiagate probe because of this absolutely profound mistake made at the beginning.
Geraldo, I'm not sure Carter Page pleaded guilty to anything, nor did he do it, but I would say this. Here's what the FBI said. Grave concerns about material omissions of the fact that fundamentally impact the memo's accuracy. Because we don't have the raw data, they are saying, and we don't know, that Congressman Nunes, Chairman Nunes, is taking it out of context if you read his 4-page summary.
Well, I don't believe that that is relevant. If you have the Republicans on the House Intel Committee coming up with a memo based on what they believe they have seen and the documents that they believe that they have, and they issue this statement, the Democrats certainly can issue their minority report should they care to. But I think that you have to credit Nunes and his colleagues with prudently assembling enough data that they have totally I go back to the foundation of this whole investigation. If indeed it's about Steele and the dossier, and that's how you got the FISA warrants to surveil American citizens, this is very, very potent stuff, Brian, as you know.
Well, John Solomon, Geraldo, to your point, on thehill.com, he talks about how, you know, at the end, Steele started and Fusion GPS started leaking to the press left and right. Now it turns out, apparently in fall 2016, the FBI used the allegations of collusion similar to what were in the Steele document, the dossier, and they took a single news item that apparently had been leaked to that press outfit as justification. So it'll be interesting to finally see what it's all about. But ultimately, Geraldo, you got the DOJ and you got the FBI, and they're saying, please don't release this, because they're not used to the kind of scrutiny the American people would give them, because we always trusted them.
You know, these are not Elliot Ness. I remember, you know, J. Edgar Hoover. The FBI is not made up of angels. I believe it is a vaunted, admirable, you know, patriotic law enforcement agency. But it's run by people, and people have preferences. Some people are left, they are right, they are Democrat, they are Republican, conservative, liberal, they hate the president, they love the president. There are, I think, within every organization of any size, cells that see, oh, this guy stinks, let's do this, or she's this, or they're that. What this memo reveals more than anything is that melancholy human reality is as much alive and well in the Federal Bureau of Investigation as it is in the Department of Agriculture. But the difference is here you are involving the President of the United States. You have been a tremendous distraction to the workings of the American Republic for over a year. It's time now that we know the basis of your actions.
Yes.
It's time now that we find out exactly what has been motivated, what is going on here.
Right.
We've heard enough of Adam Schiff and his conferences and Devin Nunes and his driving up to the White House and all the rest of it. Enough, basta. Let's now find out what in the world is going on here.
Americans
Let's free the president. Let's free the president so he can go on to be the 45th president of the United States. Enough already of the campaign.
I know you hate this topic, but it's immigration, and the president brought it up yesterday. He implored his fellow Republicans to show great flexibility. He wants to work with both parties, that something very positive will come out for our country, for everybody, for the nation. And if that can happen, if the Democrats choose a filibuster framework that includes a generous path to citizenship or something that's not fair, we are not going to approve it. He gave principles that ticked off the far right and some on the left. So do you see us going on a fast track towards some type of mini immigration compromise?
I hope so, Brian. I really do hope so. Enough already. This is another one of those basta topics. Everybody from, at certain points, Chuck Schumer, Gutierrez, the head of the LULAC, the biggest civil rights organization in the Hispanic American community, have all said that we are ready, willing to compromise. A compromise based on the $25 billion trust fund to build the wall along the southern border, and the DACA, the Dreamers, and thankfully the president has extended that population. So we'll give them a future and a path to citizenship. You give us the wall. DACA, the wall. Dreamers, the wall.
Geraldo, it doesn't.
Both
Chain
sides
migration,
are unhappy.
lottery.
But, Geraldo, based on what we saw at the State of the Union address, that probably is not going to happen. Democrats refusing to support this president for anything. They didn't stand for God. They didn't stand for the national anthem, for veterans, not even for the record low black unemployment rate.
Ainsley, I hope you're wrong about the compromise. I think a compromise is possible, and I also think that it will happen before the next budget crisis. Before the money runs out and before all the threats of a slowdown and all the rest of it.
What was your
I believe a
reaction
compromise,
to,
a simple compromise.
What was your
I
reaction
think in
to them
terms of
sitting down for all of those? Even for the...
I was so disheartened by it. I thought it was disgraceful. I thought it was rude. I thought it was childish. I don't think Democrats won a single vote by their churlish, immature actions. I think that everybody's parents teach them manners. Manners are very simple. You can make a jest, you jibe, you can elbow someone, you can wink, you can nod, you can even insult someone. Politics is a rough and tumble game. But when you demonstrate immature rudeness, we only get one president at a time. The State of the Union address is one of those kind of ceremonies that has a certain, spiritual nature. It harkens back to our forefathers and all the rest of it. When you sit and lounge, how could you, for instance, how can you not cheer, if you're a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, for historic low black and Latino unemployment? I mean, that's an applause line. I don't care who says it. The page who announces the president could have said it. You should applaud that. How could you not applaud $1.5 trillion in infrastructure? How could you not applaud a 12-year-old kid putting little American flags on neglected graves of GIs? I mean, there are some things that you can stand, and I'm old enough to remember this whole "I stand, you stand, we sit, we sit." I've never liked it, but I have never seen it so profoundly disquieting as it was during the State of the Union.
That's right.
It was so rookie. It's kind of the kind of thing that come on, give me a break. What is this?
You know what, Geraldo? Because not only did they not stand and not clap, at times, according to somebody who was in the hall, they were actually hissing at the president. That's for another day. It's 11 minutes after the top of the hour. Enjoy your day in Cleveland, Geraldo.
Thanks, Geraldo.
Good to see you. Thank you. I'll count my snowflakes.
Where it's not snowing. All right. Jillian? News time.
Hey, happy Friday, guys.
Yes.
I guess you noticed since Geraldo went to Cleveland, the Cavaliers stopped winning.
Oh, so it's his fault.
That's got to blame him.
Blaming him? Okay, I see how it's going. You're going to blame me then for something else. I'm gonna
Maybe.
keep my eye on you. Good morning to you guys. Let's get you caught up on some of your headlines. The middle school shooting that left 4 students hurt, now considered an accident. Police arresting a 12-year-old girl in Los Angeles after a loaded gun went off inside a classroom. The school immediately put on lockdown, sending parents into panic. 2 students were shot, one in the head, the other in the wrist. They are both expected to survive. Still unclear why the girl had a loaded gun in her backpack. The oldest son of late Cuban dictator Fidel Castro is dead. State media reporting 68-year-old Fidel Castro Diaz-Balart killed himself after several months of treatment for deep depression. He ran Cuba's nuclear power program before it was suspended with the collapse of the Soviet Union. President Trump meeting with North Korean defectors in the Oval Office today in an effort to pressure dictator Kim Jong-un on human rights. 8 defectors will be there, including Gi Song-ho, who was recognized, as you remember, during the State of the Union address for showing unbelievable courage to escape the regime. Today's visit will focus on human rights abuses in the rogue nation as nuclear tensions continue on the Korean peninsula. The world's most famous groundhog, Punxsutawney Phil, has spoken, and you might want to bundle up for his big announcement.
I see my royal shadow. 6 more weeks of winter to go.
Phil making his bold prediction moments ago at Gobbler's Knob in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. He had the forecasting gig for 131 years and sees his shadow about 85% of the time. But I don't know, I'm one of those, I hate to say this, I'm one of those like non-believers because there are all those lights and everything out there. It's like, come on.
Right.
Right?
I don't think anyone really is it. I think it's all ceremonial and fun.
It is ceremonial and fun.
Brian.
I don't know. Some people I feel like get into it. Like I just don't because
You know what? Because
there's all the lights out there.
Because it's halfway through the winter. They need an excuse to have a party. That's it.
in
the morning.
Punxsutawney.
All right. Thanks,
Yeah,
Jillian.
there you
Thanks,
have it.
Jillian. All right, this Medal of Honor recipient about to be honored at the Super Bowl, but it's the anthem protest conversation that he had with his son that we're talking about this morning, and you're going to love it.
Plus, after the rollout of the tax cuts and hundreds of companies handing out bonuses, Democrats are still pushing resist. But what don't they get? They're going to lose in the polls. Ed Connard will be out here to explain. Glad you're up. Hope you're dressed. President Trump's critics are out in full swing this week, as you can see, after his first State of the Union address.
He is a dangerous, unprincipled, divisive, and shameful racist.
What he is doing brings tears to the eyes of the Statue of Liberty.
But despite all the criticism, our next guest says the millions of Americans are still behind President Trump 100% and maybe more. And that's many Democrats still don't understand. The author of The Upside of Inequality, a former Bain Capital partner, big supporter of Mitt Romney, Ed Connard is back with us. Ed, you as a white-collar guy really feel as though the president was addressing the blue-collar guy and the woman last night.
Oh, no doubt about it. This is the first Republican president in recent time to sweep Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin. If Republicans can do that, we can be elected president over and over again. And I think he does that by recognizing that trade and low-skilled immigration put pressure on blue-collar wages, and the workers are concerned about these things.
It doesn't seem like the American people are buying any message. They're just reacting to the way they want to react and how it affects them. For example, you have 6 reasons why that speech worked and the agenda is effective for President Trump. Number 1, the president shows concern for blue-collar workers.
Yeah, this is not the 1950s anymore when manufacturing is creating more and more high-paying blue-collar jobs. It's not the case anymore. People are concerned about trade and immigration and the growth rate of their wages.
And manufacturing is going up, and that relates historically to blue collars. Now, millions of Americans look at this, him talk about America's first, Americans are dreamers too, and talk about the danger of MS-13, and don't see his message as being anti-immigrant or racist.
Yeah, look, if we look forward into the future, we have a big problem with retiring baby boomers and with the emergence of China. We need a lot more growth. The tax cut is a step in the right direction, but the only way we're going to get there is through high-skilled immigration. The president is trying to push this from low-skilled immigration, which might have worked in the past, to high-skilled immigration, which is what's going to work in the future.
All right. You also say this: the Democratic economic policies are costly. Even though people want help, they also don't want to just get free. They don't think free money is the way to go.
The stock market rose 45% when Republicans won control of the government. 45% off a cyclical high. If you go back into the past, you see the slowest recovery in the Obama administration since the Second World War. Productivity, which drives wages, was growing at 2.5% a year. For the 18 years prior to the Obama administration, it's grown at 0.7, almost 0.5%. That is an enormous wage killer.
A lot of great Americans don't have college educations and don't have big paychecks. And when you give them $1,000, $2,000, Ed, you say that matters.
That matters. It matters a lot to those families, especially when you think about their after-tax wages. It matters even more.
Ed Conard, thanks so much. Great column. Appreciate it. Meanwhile, 10 minutes before the bottom of the hour, the men behind the Beast Mode for the Brave challenge are here to announce a new mission. They'll tell us how it's going to help veterans across the country.
We have got some quick Friday morning headlines for you. First up, Washington State announcing a proposal to raise taxes for global warming. It would tax $20 per ton of carbon emissions, meaning higher costs at the pump, and for heating of your homes. Oregon is also looking to pass similar tax hikes aimed at limiting greenhouse gas emissions regarding energy. And Liberal Canada passing a bill changing its national anthem.
True patriot love in all thy sons' command.
The part in All Thy Sons Command will now be made gender neutral and will read, quote, in all of us command. Okay. The bill now heads to the governor's desk to become law. All right, Ainsley, down to you in the living room.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. It's a special mission to help veterans. Beast Mode for the Brave and Guardian for Heroes have come a long way since appearing on Fox and Friends nearly 3 years ago. And they are back today to announce a brand new mission to help our nation's heroes on Chris Kyle Day. Today is the day that Chris Kyle was killed by that veteran in Texas with PTSD. Joining us now is John Razwilla. Am I pronouncing that correctly, John?
Yes.
Okay, and John's the president of New World PR. We have Jim, who's in the middle, Jim Finkenkeller.
Very good.
Okay, he's the executive director of Guardian for Heroes, and then Talon Smith on the end, who created Beast Mode for the Brave, along with Chris Kyle. Talon, we were thinking about Chris's family today. How many years has it been?
It's been 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, it's a really hard day for the family.
I know. You and Chris, how did y'all meet?
We met on Stars and Stripes. It was a TV show where we paired with celebrities, and we took them through military challenges, and that show itself raised money for veterans.
And then y'all started Beast Mode for the Brave?
Correct,
together?
yes. Yeah, it was before Chris passed. I gave him the idea that we needed the American people to go beast mode for our veterans on a daily basis. And then under that premise, it sort of took the challenge form, which everyone saw 2 years ago here.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, Jim, tell us what Beast Mode for the Brave does.
Beast Mode for the Brave does a lot of fundraising, and what we're doing is we're doing it through a challenge coin program. And the objective is to raise funds for veterans so that we can take those net proceeds, and every dollar that goes to the veteran organizations, the primary one is Guardian for Heroes, every dollar of that goes to serve veterans, to help them with body, mind, and soul as they have come back from battle. They try to reintegrate into society, and they try to continue their life journey.
Okay, great. Now, John, you're in charge of marketing. Talon said he put you in charge of marketing because you're the pretty one.
On national air, thanks, Talon. Yeah.
So pretty.
Y'all have a lot of fun together. So tell us, how can folks at home support your organization, and what are you doing? What are you holding?
So this is our challenge coin, and so people are familiar with challenge coins. Have been around the military community for some time. But right now, people are just giving them out for just about anything recently. And so, but there's actually a premise behind them, and it's about the rank of the coin or who has the more special coin. There's a whole morale thing behind it. So what we did is we gamified the challenge coin again, and we based it on the ranks of the military. So it's a simple concept. So each month you donate $22 to Beast Mode for the Brave through Operation With You. and then I tell you about it. So now I have 2 people in, quote, my army, or downline for those that are familiar with network marketing. And let's say you tell Jim at that point. So now I have 3 people, you have 2, and essentially what you're doing is you're recruiting people to donate to the cause. And so for as many people as you have, it's reflected in your rank. So the more people you have, the higher rank you have, and then you're able to play the whole game of, hey, I'm a sergeant, you're a private, I outrank you, and there's all that camaraderie and morale that comes back to it.
So how many coins have you created?
So right now we have 18 ranks.
So you try to collect all 18 by signing more and more people up.
Yep.
And it's only $22 a month. We can all do that.
Absolutely.
Where do we go to do that?
bmfb.org.
Okay. All right, great. Let's talk about Chris Kyle. What was he like as a person?
Oh, man, larger than life.
Yeah.
Chris was one of the most humble men that I've ever met. I walked in first day, and I was like, hey, I just got back from Afghanistan. He's like, hey, Talon, nice to meet you. I'm Chris. You know, he didn't even tell me, he was Chris Kyle until I figured it out about a minute later, and then it was just my jaw dropped. But for Chris, he was an individual who was committed overseas to protect his brothers with his skill as a sniper. And when he got home, he was committed to taking care of his wounded brothers and sisters. And his heart and his passion for veterans is something that we've wanted to carry on. And that's the whole premise behind Beast Mode and Guardian for Heroes, is to continue helping veterans just like Chris would have if he was still with us.
Yeah, we know his wife's on our show a lot, and we just love their family and the movie. What did you think of the movie? Did you think they did a good job?
I actually watched it on the flight here.
You did?
It's kind of hard to watch. I know some of the stories that weren't in that movie.
Yeah.
But, to be able to see Bradley Cooper bring Chris to live on screen for a while, it definitely hits me in the heart and brings back some really good memories.
Yeah. Jim, tell us what the money, if folks at home are going to take part in this and donate the $22, what do you use the money for specifically?
We're going to have Guardian for Heroes as the primary beneficiary of it initially. And what Guardian for Heroes does is we provide gym memberships. We provide in-home gyms for people who either have adaptive, they've been injured, or they have PTSD and they can't go to the gym because there are too many triggers with loud noises. And we also build gyms in communities with high concentrations of veterans. So that's the primary mission. Then in addition to that, we're partnering with other organizations that help address not just the body, but the mind and the soul. We want to help treat the entire veteran, not just a part of it, and provide a resource so that whatever their need is, we can plug them into that need and get them the help that they need.
Well, thank you for making this your life mission. Thank you for serving our country. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. John, Jim, and Talon, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate it.
This Medal of Honor recipient is preparing for the Super Bowl spotlight, but it's the anthem protest conversation that he had with his son that has us all talking. It's a story we want to share with you. I think you're going to love this. Plus, Pete Hegseth is live in Minnesota with the football legend Dan Marino having breakfast with friends. We'll talk to them coming up next.
Well, if anyone's going to go to Minnesota and thrive, and even walk outdoors in minus 10-degree weather, it has to be Pete Hegseth.
Why do you say that?
Because
he's in Stillwater, Minnesota, about 10 minutes from his home. And Pete, with the Super Bowl this weekend, Minnesota is the land of 10,000 celebrities.
That sure is 10,000 celebrities. So right over there, we're not even going to bring it yet, is Dan Marino. He doesn't like cold weather, but he's here anyway since it's indoors. So we're going to talk to him in a second. But before we get to the celebrities, as we do on Breakfast with Friends, we talk to the folks, the regular people, about their take on the news of the day. I've got Phil and Bill. Now, Bill is his picture's on the wall. He's been going here since 1963. And Phil, it's February 2nd. It's his birthday, and he's named after Punxsutawney Phil. What are the chances of that? So we got Bill and Phil. Good morning, guys. Both of you from here in Stillwater. Phil, we're going to ask you just overall, how do you feel like the president is doing?
Oh, he's doing a good job, I think. He's a good businessman, and I think he's doing a great job at, running the country itself.
Now, the Democrats have said his tax plan amounts to crumbs, breadcrumbs. What do you make of their characterization?
I don't know about that. I think he can generate money other places and stuff.
Is it breadcrumbs to you?
No.
$1,000 if you were to get a bonus?
Hey, that's not, I would enjoy that.
That's not too bad, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, you bet.
Bill, you voted for President Trump. You said you're mixed on some of his policies at this point. What have you liked about certain things he's done in office?
Oh, some of the things he's trying to do, the changing the tax form was one of them that should have been done. I don't agree with him on this wall business. That's I don't think it's going to solve anything in the long run.
Do you think he's offered a good deal to Democrats, though, by offering the pathway to citizenship in exchange for it? Is that the kind of bipartisan approach that should work in Washington?
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would guess it would be the best thing.
What did you do to get your picture on the wall?
Nothing. Just happened to be here when she took the picture.
Just had that many meals. Phil and Bill, thanks a lot. And I'm going to go just talk to a regular customer here as well at the Oasis Cafe. Dan Marino, Mr. Quarterback, thank you for being here. It's great to see you. What brings you, besides the Super Bowl, what brings you to Minneapolis?
So, I've been working with Nutrisystem for over 10 years now, a decade, and Sunday's the Super Bowl, but Monday is Super Monday for Nutrisystem because it's the biggest dieting day
That's
for
true.
men. The decision to make a decision to go on a diet, because women do it after the first of the year, right? But men got to go through
We give
the
ourselves a
playoffs.
mulligan
You
till
got to go
the
through the
Super Bowl.
playoffs, go through the divisional championship games and all that until after the Super Bowl. So, yeah, here in NutriPros, the new shakes.
Yep.
You can lose up to 18 pounds in a
I
month.
tried it. It's pretty darn good.
It's pretty darn good. And you can do it for breakfast, like we're having breakfast right now.
We're having breakfast with friends,
Yes,
absolutely.
yeah.
So
Good
I
stuff.
loved you in Ace Ventura, by the way. It's
Thank you.
One of my favorite movies. You were great.
It's my best work ever.
Really?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people agree. It was fantastic.
I made Jim Carrey a star.
I think you did. Now, hold on. I got to ask you about football.
Okay.
As a guy who's played in tons of big games, how does a guy like Nick Foles get prepared to play against Tom Brady?
So I would say that for Nick, he's got to visualize what he did in the last few games and at the end of the year, and because he's had a lot of success, and just make that happen in this game, and just say, look, there's an opportunity for me. I didn't think at the beginning of the year I'd be there. Carson Wentz was going to be there probably, and he got hurt, and then so now I would say that he just got to visualize that's what he
Visualize what could happen.
Exactly.
Visualize the future for us. Quick prediction,
Yes.
Dan Marino. Sunday.
I know Patriots. It's Tom Brady. It's hard to go against Tom.
Pretty tough to go against Tom Brady.
Yeah, man.
Pretty tough to go against Dan Marino as well. He never thought he'd be in Stillwater, Minnesota at -7. He's a Miami guy, but we got him here to the diner for breakfast with friends.
fun.
Thanks for being here. We're going to talk more Ace Ventura when we toss it back to you guys.
Hey,
New York
here,
City.
Pete, ask him if he has any regrets of not being a Viking. They wanted to sign him his final year.
Do you have any regrets for not being a Viking? They wanted to sign you your final year.
Yeah, you know what? I think about it sometimes, yes. They did. I like that question,
That's
though.
from Brian
good.
Kilmeade in New York City. He wanted to know.
Yeah, Brian. I could have. They had Randy Moss and Chris Carter, so I probably made a mistake.
Oh, my goodness. You can still toss it. What do you think?
I could, yeah, if they're ready to go, I'm ready to go.
There you heard it. We made news. Next year's quarterback potentially for the Minnesota Vikings, Dan Marino.
Got it.
Another exclusive. Way to go, Pete. All right.
The weather would be a lot different, though, right? Easier to play down in Florida, I would think, than it would be.
But they put a roof on, Jillian, so that's why they could have that Super Bowl outdoors.
Yes, they did. And I'm sure a lot of people are very thankful for that this weekend. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, guys. We have some news just coming into the newsroom right now. So let's get you caught up on this Fox News alert. January unemployment numbers just in. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the U.S. economy added 200,000 jobs in January. That's up from the 148,000 added in December. And the January unemployment rate remains unchanged at 4.1%. So there you have it. We will officially know whether or not Mitt Romney is throwing his hat back in the political ring in just 2 weeks. The former presidential candidate tweeting, looking forward to making an announcement on February 15th about the Utah Senate race. Romney sparking rumors earlier this year when he switched his Twitter location from Massachusetts to Utah. People notice those things. The state's current Senator Orrin Hatch set to retire at the end of his term. An American hero being honored before Super Bowl 52, sharing a conversation with his son about national anthem kneelers. Retired Master Sergeant Leroy Petrie said the teen argued that the players have a right to protest, to which he used another protest to explain his point of view.
Some folks exercising their First Amendment right to protest at soldiers' funerals. And I said, just because you have the right doesn't mean it's the right venue.
Petrie is one of 15 Medal of Honor recipients taking part in pregame festivities this Sunday. A remarkable discovery by a dinosaur expert on lunch break. Ray Stanford and fellow researchers uncovering this nearly 9-foot-long slab full of dinosaur prints Get this, in the parking lot at NASA's Space Flight Center in Maryland. Some date back more than 100 million years. Like this adult Nodosar footprint, the largest one found, and this baby Nodosar track spotted right next to it. Scientists say a flood preserved the footprints by covering them with rock. Pretty cool. Let's look at your headlines.
All
guys.
found on his lunch break.
Lunch break.
Who
Yeah.
knew?
For those working through lunch, you could be missing
Exactly.
a T-Rex.
I wonder if he got paid for that.
Right, I'm not sure. He shouldn't have punched out.
All right, Janice Dean, you're 3 hours from your lunch break.
So the groundhog said 6 more weeks of winter, but I just heard that Staten Island Chuck says an early spring. I'm going with Chuck. Where are you from? You're from Texas. Texas. We're so glad to be here.
Hi.
Do you want to say hi to anybody at home?
Hi, Gerald. Hi, Madeline.
Hi, Chase. Hi, Abby. Hi, Jeff. Where are you from?
Pahokee, Florida.
You want to say hi to anybody at home?
Hi, Harry.
Hi, Harry. All right, let's take a look at the maps. It is Groundhog Day, and of course, it's cold outside. 29 here in New York, 12 in Buffalo, 14 in Cincinnati. It is going to be a cold Super Bowl, okay? If you live in Minnesota, good thing they have a dome. There's the last 12 hours. We have a system that's moving offshore here. And because of the cold air, I'm concerned about a freeze, a flash freeze on some of the roadways. So just be careful. There's our next system moving in on Sunday and Monday, and we could have some measurable snow, especially across the interior Northeast, the Great Lakes, and the upper Midwest. Okay, say hi to everybody at home. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Yeah, ladies. Thanks for braving the cold.
Yeah.
Wow, a lot of emotion.
It is. They're doing
right.
that to stay warm.
Well, that's true.
Meanwhile, it's cheesesteak versus clam chowder. Philadelphia and New England here to face off in a Super Bowl cook-off before their teams head to the Super Bowl. That's a super pot full of super chowder.
Good.
It does. We'll be right back.